So, my thoughts on the fifth episode of Surviving Earth. I have to say that the episode was all right. It wasn't the best, but it had good moments. Like some of the creature designs. Like, I really love the Dimetrodon. I really like the amphibian design called Diplodocus. I think that's the name. Please let me know in the comments on what it's called. Diplodocus. The hammerhead like amphibian, very popular in paleomedia a little bit. In the Permian, there was another amphibian. My only issue I have is that they were using unrelated animals in the documentary. Like, for example, those giant amphibians, I forget the names, but they were using crocodilian behavior instead of traditional, well, amphibian like behavior. Yes, they did use frog noises and stuff like that, but they did use a mixture of crocodilian, and they used the crocodile, well, the crocodilian technique, the mating display, like when they like shake their backs to impress the females. I don't think that they would not do that, because that is only a crocodilian behavior, not amphibians. I don't think they would not do that. So why were they using crocodilian behavior? I have no idea. Just because it's convergent evolution, that doesn't mean that they would behave like crocodiles or alligators. It just doesn't make sense. They're not related. So what the fuck is going on? The Diplodocus design looked pretty good. A good mother, etc. I really like the design of it. What else? Oh, and for the first time ever, there's also a Permian freshwater shark, which I didn't even know there was a freshwater shark in the Permian, which is pretty interesting. And of course, the classic Arthropleura. Arthropleura is a pretty interesting, of course, insect, and Arthropleura is one of my favorite arthropods of the Carboniferous. I don't know why I said Permian. The Carboniferous period. It was also feasting on the amphibian. Well, not also, but it was feasting on the amphibian dung. At first, I thought it was gonna feast on plants, because we know that Arthropleura is a vegetarian. However, it is a possible chance that it would probably eat dung as as a source to survive, nutrients and stuff, like most animals would do today. So, and insects do eat dung, most species of insects. So I wouldn't see why not Arthropleura would do that. What else is there? The extinction scene of that scene was pretty devastated, of course. Oh, and the reptile, I forget the name of that species. Um, they were using kind of like a little bit of mammal behavior with the reptile. Like, in other words, like the mother came back to rescue her young. I don't think it doesn't work like that, because first of all, reptiles don't raise their young, with the exception, of course, with crocodilians and birds. And yes, birds are reptiles, but that's not the side of the point. Just because crocodilians and birds raise their young, that doesn't mean these particular small reptiles raise their young. Like, for example, when we look at the Petrolacosaurus from Walking with Monsters, those eggs were abandoned just like modern reptiles, and after all, those reptiles are lizard-like, so therefore the mother should not raise the young or help the youngsters out. Once she lays their eggs, they're on their own, like all reptiles would do today. Like, this isn't rocket science, people. Come on now, man. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Moving forward, when we get to the early Permian, I really love that scene, because The scene literally looks like a throwback of New Blood from Walking with Dinosaurs 1999. Like, it literally looks like that. I'm like, holy shit, it's New Blood. That scene, the trees, the landscape, the dirt, the soil, everything looked like Walking with Dinosaurs New Blood. You know? I also love the Dimetrodon design as well, and the colors of it. The Dimetrodon looked really good. I liked how the Dimetrodon was digging up a small amphibian to eat, of course. They mentioned the name they called Dimetrodon a reptile, which is weird because Dimetrodon is actually not a reptile, it is a mammal. You know, not a true mammal, but still a descendant of us, but still not a true mammal, if that makes logical sense. But why did the narrator call it a reptile? I have no idea. And also they called this other animal, I forget the name of that species. They called it a reptile as well. At first, like, the design looked, I don't know too much about this animal. So let me know in the comments, this herbivore is saying that, like, oh, it was, its ancestors were carnivores and then it evolved into a herbivore. I mean, I can see the design. The teeth look very carnivore-ish like of it. The head, like the front of the head looked like a shark a little bit and a turtle. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, again, I don't know too much about this animal, but yeah. I also like the weird, well, it was like eating some poisonous mushrooms or whatever, and we thought that the Dimetrodon was going to kill that thing until the herd arrives, but we don't know really if these mammal descendants protected their own, like most mammals would do today, but it is a possibility. We just don't know, although we have to study the brain, of course, the anatomy of those animals, but we don't know. But yeah, but my overall thoughts, it was an okay episode. It's just that they shouldn't use non animals that are not related to each other. Like, they should have used like salamander and frog behavior instead of reptile behavior with those amphibians. Or they should use, lizard or other reptile behavior with that particular reptile of the carnivorous or whatever. I don't know, but it was all right. But let me know in the comments of that episode, and I can't wait to see the sixth episode. And we're going back to the Devonian, I believe. So yeah, can't wait.